fucking backward swisher fucking sucking language that shit is, but alright. Whatever you say, Chief. Whatever floats your fucking...
Is that how you feel about it?
Whatever floats your toaster.
Yeah, I hope your toaster doesn't float. Welcome to another episode of Lightning Lore. This is episode 3. Today we're going to be tackling one of our favorite Call of Duty Black Ops Zombie maps, which is Ascension.
Yep.
Yes, that's right. You heard it here, folks. We're doing an entire Lightning Lore episode on a singular zombie map.
Should be fun.
Talk to me, my friend.
So, starting off, Ascension came out with the First Strike DLC probably a couple months after Black Ops actually came out. The map takes place in an abandoned Soviet Cosmodrome.
There you go. Sound it out.
And this was the eighth Zombies map to be released for COD Zombies. A little bit of a backstory about Ascension. This was the birthplace of the PhD Flopper, Stamina Up, the Gersh device, and a Thunder Gun. These things were made by Doctors Yuri Zavoysky and Dr. Gersh when they joined the Ascension group in 1955. Everything was going according to plan until tension between Gersh and Yuri occurred, and by 1963, Gersh informed the senior staff that Yuri will no longer be a part of Project Mercury, which I believe was the project of the Gersh device, and has been moved elsewhere to work on some sort of rocket fuel or whatever. A few days later, after reading Richtofen's diary, Yuri began to hear Samantha's voice. This would drive Yuri into insanity, and then she ordered Yuri to resume his work on Project Mercury, and he obeyed, even though he was completely off the project. Then on November 4th, 1963, Gersh revealed to the committee that Yuri should be removed from the Ascension group as he became hostile towards other scientists and frequently muttered to himself. The next day, Yuri obeyed Samantha's wishes, tricked Gersh into activating a Gersh device, and the rift created and absorbed Gersh and allowed Samantha to travel through. Yuri was also absorbed and then transported into the Pentagon, which then he became the Pentagon Thief in the map 5. The Ultimus crew, consisting of Takio, Nikolai, Dempsey, and who was the fourth one? Richtofen, traveled to the Soviet Cosmodrome in 1963 from Group 935's Kino facility via a lunar lander to recover Richtofen's diary. The group also needed to free a Soviet scientist from the Ascension group named Gersh from the Casimir mechanism. So, do you want to talk about the new additions that kind of came up with this whole zombie map?
So, let's talk about some of the newer things that came into play. So, we got the addition of 2 brand new throwables, one of them being the Matryoshka dolls, which are the Russian nesting dolls. So you throw one out and it would spawn. It was like a MIRV grenade in Borderlands 2.
Yep.
If you've ever played that, it would spawn smaller grenades within it. And the Gersh device. So the Gersh device was this waffle iron that you throw and it would generate a big purple portal that would suck zombies in. And that was a replacement to the monkey bombs. The 2 new perks we got in the original release of Ascension were PhD Flopper and Stamina. PhD Flopper, when you dolphin dove, well, first and foremost, you took no damage from heights.
That's nice.
And then when you dolphin dove, it would cause an explosion. Stamina allows you to run longer for slightly faster. So that was super cool. I miss Flopper so much. Stamina's kind of become a staple of the zombies community, but I miss you, Flopper.
Yeah.
It's been too long. In addition to that, Space Monkeys replaced the Hellhounds on this map. And so you get the max ammo at the end of the Monkeys round, as always. But in this case, you had an opportunity to get a little bit more out of it. If you defeated all the Monkeys without them touching any of your perks, you get an additional Perca-Cola bottle that would give you 1 random perk. However, in contrast to this, if they touched one of your perk machines that you have, like Juggernog or whatever else you're running on that setup, you would lose that perk. So this was kind of a give and take. It was super frustrating and annoying to deal with. However, if you had a full stack of 4 members and you guys were only using 3, maybe 4 perks, it wasn't that difficult. No. Playing on solo, though, totally different story. In addition to that, this was the first real, full story sort of interactive Easter egg that we got in a zombies map. Now, we've had slimmers and glimpses of Easter eggs in prior zombies maps. We had some in Kino, obviously, and the ones from World at War, but this was the first full Easter egg, and this would set the example for all future zombie Easter eggs.
Right.
So the goal was to free Dr. Gersh from Samantha, in which he then teleports you to Call of the Dead. It was, by today's standards, one of the more simpler Easter eggs. Because now you got to spin around 3 times, call your voicemail, and all this wacky stuff. But this one was straightforward. You could do it solo with relative ease, and it didn't take forever. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So you did some research on content. I'm actually kind of surprised with what you came up with, or what you found, I should say.
Right.
So I read through some of these, and I want an explanation, damn it. Talk to me about some cut content from Ascension.
All right, so overall, Ascension was planned to be this big new experience with a massive play area and new toys to play with, which is what we ended up getting for the most part with the Sickle, Stamina, PhD Flopper, Monkey's Gersh Device, Lunar Landers, the Dolls, and the Death Machine. But through data mining and testimonials from Treyarch staff, Ascension was planned to be a much more massive step for the game mode. Their ideas probably delayed the game from being ready for Black Ops November launch, so they had to ship Black Ops with Kino only. Deciding to put the whole Soviet Thunder Gun, which was meant to appear in the first Ascension, into replace the Wonder Waffle to make it feel more new. The map had to be gutted, probably due to bugs or limited console RAM. And they took out or blocked off originally playable areas, having even removed double tap root beer in the process for some reason, making Ascension the only map ever without double tap root beer, except for Nocturne and Toten. And some of the cut content that they actually came out with was through the data mining and whatnot was they were supposed to be a chainsaw in the game, couple additional perks such as Tough Brew, which was mentioned in the character dialogue between, I believe it was Tank Dempsey and Richtofen. Candelier, which is, I guess, some sort of variation of Bandolier from Call of Duty 4, where you give you more ammo. Pronade, which became then PhD Flopper. We're missing the AK-47. I'm assuming it was either wall buy or something. Double Tap itself. There was supposed to be a 5th lunar station and a secret 1,500 point door. It's common knowledge that Kino der Toten was meant to be the final Zombies map for World at War and DLC 4, with Ascension being planned to be the only map to come with Black Ops on disc, aside from the bonus maps 5 and Dead Ops Arcade. With Ascension, Treyarch wanted it to feel like something big happened between World at War and Black Ops, with Richtofen now wearing a bloodified flight suit and having completely abandoned his previous Nazi aesthetic. I feel like Treyarch planned to expand on what happened after Kino with future games and DLC content, but it was kind of ultimately forgotten about. So we ended up what we kind of actually had at the end.
Very cool. Lots of surprising stuff cut from the end due to what, time constraints, budget constraints, trying to get the game out. What was it? A little bit of everything?
Yeah, a little. So yeah, your time constraints. I want to say budget constraints. It was mainly time constraints, and I guess the hardware at the time, since you had your Xbox 360s and your PS3s, which could only do so much when it came to their internals, I guess, if you would say. But I mean, I guess if this map pack and if Black Ops 1 actually came out maybe within the PS4 / Xbox One era, we probably would have been able to see a lot more of this.
Very cool. So what are your experiences with this map? How do you feel about it as a whole, and any sort of memorable moments?
So with Ascension, in my opinion, this is the best DLC Zombies map to date. Period. The Easter egg it felt more optional, and if you wanted to do it, it was pretty simple. It was straightforward. You didn't really have to do a lot. It was kind of spelled out for you. And the thing about this Easter egg versus all the other Easter eggs is, well, like I said, it is simple, but I was never a fan of later maps. Call of the Dead was meh. I still enjoyed Call of the Dead. It was decent. But then after that, with Shangri-La and all that stuff, the Easter eggs I felt like became so much more complex, and I felt like you needed to do them in the map.
In order to get the full experience?
In order to get the full experience, or otherwise you're just kind of running around and shooting zombies. I felt like, because you still had kind of things you could do with Ascension, like the Lunar Landers, hooking them up, getting to the Pack-a-Punch, then the monkeys kind of felt something different. It made it feel different, because with the Hellhounds you usually kind of just hunker up in a corner, but in this case you have to actually spread out around the map, and then you go back to your usual training areas, or areas where you want to meet up with your group, your group to actually take off the zombies. So in my opinion, Ascension, the final best zombies map, the only zombies map that I fucking love. So that's
okay. I think you might be looking at it through some rose-tinted glasses, because future zombie maps do have the Pack-a-Punch quest, and they do have their variant zombies kind of flayed throughout the map and things like that. However, I do also feel strongly about Ascension. It is definitely in my top 5 zombie maps, maybe my top 3 on a good day. Maybe, I'm not too sure. I'd probably have to reevaluate that list, but definitely top 5. I think what it did really well was that it gave you kind of this assortment of wide open areas and tight, narrow corners. There's plenty of spaces to run your trains by the Pack-a-Punch, obviously, by the Lunar Lander, by Flopper, and that little corridor, which is where I like to run my train.
Likes to do it.
Couple of other things, though. I think that Ascension is also one of the easiest zombie maps, if not the easiest. Once you get set up and going, which doesn't take much time at all, you could probably do it, I don't know, before round 10, I'd say maybe like 7 or 8 if you have the money and you time your shots carefully. Once you're set up, once you got the Gersh, once you got the Zeus gun, you could go on indefinitely. And I feel like once you get past like 30, 35, kind of the shine and the veneer start to peel back. And you kind of start to see that, yeah, this map's good. It's well designed and it has some fun, quirky stuff on it. However, it doesn't provide me with that challenge I need. I do love the map dearly. I think this is one of the maps that kind of led the charge in making zombies this crazy, convoluted lore mess that it is today. And maybe someday we'll get around to doing a whole video on that. But Ascension was fun, man. Yeah. I remember when this game came out, or I'm sorry, this DLC came out, and I had some buddies that stayed home from school, and I was like, man, I wish I was them.
Yeah.
I didn't even give 2 craps about the multiplayer maps, to be honest with you. I wanted to go home and play zombies, because for me it was Kino that kind of revolutionized or reignited that love for this kind of survival round-by-round itch that I had from World at War, But Ascension did so many things right. I think the color palette's excellent. I think the zombies are fucking great, and everything kind of fits the theme very nicely.
I like that black and white that kind of happens in the beginning until you actually turn on the power.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Right?
Good aesthetic, man.
Yeah. What? So you've played Ascension in Black Ops 1, and then our little group.
Yes, we bought the Zombie Chronicles on Black Ops 3.
On Black Ops 3. What are your thoughts between the 2 games of Ascension OG and then the Redux in Black Ops 3? do you think they did something better? Do you think the Black Ops 3 kind of stuff with the gumballs and all that stuff meshed well with it?
The gumball stuff, the gobble gums are a purely Black Ops 3 engine mechanic, and I understand them. I think for Ascension, it would almost be like cheating using especially like a mega gobblegum, you know what I mean? It's like, do you really need that extra edge? I miss Flopper a lot because they didn't bring it back in Black Ops 3. And in addition to that, we got the randomized Percola machine, which I thought was okay. I didn't think it intruded too much. We got Widow's Wine and a couple of other extra perks. I don't think you can beat the original, man. You could put all this polish and shine and all this magnificence on it, and it does make Ascension look great. That rocket launch is super awesome, and when you're on the Lunar Lander going back to the main area, and that big nutsack spins and knocks you over because you forgot to crouch for the 30th time. That can look as nice as it wants, but I think it's that kind of core good map design. Right. The Call of Duty engine is fucking phenomenal. It is the best shooter engine out there, regardless of how you feel in the latest entry, right? I think it's just these kind of core principles and mechanics that all come together to make a good map, and I feel like if you go back to the original, it doesn't feel too far off. Sure, it looks a little janky as compared to now where we're getting 8K TVs, you know what I mean?
Right.
But you don't need it to look super awesome and have a mirror finish. Sometimes your favorite car is that super dusty one that's been sitting in the garage, you know what I mean?
That Civic.
Yeah, that Civic that's been hanging out in the junkyard. It runs, but ain't nobody want to take it home.
Yeah. Terrible
analogy. What do you think?
I think between Black Ops 1 and 3, it still kept its kind of not shine graphical wise, but gameplay wise. I thought that it would be easier in Black Ops 3 since you have all these futuristic weapons and these kind of additional crutches with the gumballs and then the randomized perks and even more perks like Widow's Wine, that shot daiquiri, all that stuff. But I still felt it was kind of difficult, especially when we kind of split up. Because remember, me and you were running our trains, but then the other two were kind of off doing their own thing. It was still kind of tough and kind of nail biting to go for those revives and whatnot.
Well, because for those of you who don't know, our group of 4, myself and my co-host Greg here, we were raised on the training mechanic, and that's the style we play. We train.
I was by Pack-a-Punch, and you were by that PhD flopper.
Absolutely, and those other two play the camp mechanic, which doesn't work. And then when they bump into our trains or when they go down and we want to pick them up to make them feel like they're participating, it goes south really fucking quick.
Hard.
If it was you and I and we ran our trains respectively and quietly, we would have no issue.
Yeah.
No issues.
Yeah, but no, like you said, graphically the map looks phenomenal. I love that complete overhaul. The zombies look even more grotesque, and the whole Soviet cosmonaut. Like I'm a sucker for Soviet era things. And
Yeah, you
like,
throw in some zombies in the mix and it's all you,
man.
huh?
Like just walking around those spacesuits, and then those monkeys are terrifying as hell too. So I mean, like I said, I actually like the whole map and whatnot. Between Black Ops 1 and 2, I still think it stands as like my favorite zombies map.
Absolutely, everybody has their favorite zombies map, as long as it's not Transit or.
Oh, fuck Transit.
Good stuff.
Honestly, fuck Transit.
Good stuff. So, you got any closing questions, comments, or concerns?
Definitely check out Ascension again, man. Just
fire it up.
Fire it up. Take out Black Ops 3. Hell, take out Black Ops 1. Dust off that nice,
it's been about
layer
11 years.
of dust that's been coating on for 9 years now.
9 years.
9 years, and just run through it. Go through some old times. Get your PhD flopper.
Awesome.
Have fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for episode 3 of Lightning Lore. This has been Ascension. Be sure to check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We are on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and anywhere where podcasts are found.
Yep.
All right, Greg, wrap this up.
You know what we do? We keep the lore in expLOREation and lightning in this case. Catch you later.
Thank you.